Hey, I'm Ray, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching the cartoon and watching my how-to videos and everything for Squirrel Nuts. And I just want to let you know that what I'm doing now is I am going to show you how I'm doing my cartoons and what the tools I'm working on. And you're going to be right with me as I build my cartoon. And this is the first one, and this is my lab. It's a little grungy, but it'll get better, hopefully in the future. But just bear with me, and I hope you learn stuff from me, and I hope you enjoy my cartoon, and please subscribe. And this is really tough for me because I didn't want to be in front of a camera, but you know what? I'm going to be in front of a camera. And again, it's if you go to my website, which is called Squirrel Nuts Podcast, Squirrel Nuts Cartoon and Podcast, you'll see that my intentions. And what I want to do is I just want to show you guys what I'm doing and how I became successful. Right now, I'm not, but that's all right. But eventually, hopefully, you can learn some things from me when and if I ever do become successful. Does that make sense? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy this first tutorial. So today we are going to work on creating animation characters in Adobe Animate. And I'm going to be using some older models that I created for my cartoon. And now that I draw okay, I am going to redo my animation characters. These were kind of, I did them in Photoshop, and what I did is I looked on the internet, and I recommend you do that too, to grab some models. Then I kind of traced them in Photoshop and then added my own colors. And you can see like this guy right here. That's what I did, and it came out okay. In the cartoon, it came out okay, but it wasn't authentic, you know. So, and it's still, you see a lot of different pieces like this that's hooked up on the character and the lines that you can see. Because I actually work only on a mouse, which isn't recommended, especially if you want to be an animator, because working on a mouse is kind of hard to draw. But I've learned to draw, and especially in Adobe Animate, I've learned to use shapes to draw my characters. And that's what I did with this. And you can see that face came out pretty well. I'll redo it so you guys can see it. Right now, I'm going to show you how to do the tail. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to use the shapes tool. I'm going to use the paintbrush. This is a magic paintbrush. This is the one that will give you all these cool designs. And that's all I'm going to do today on the tail. So, and I'll also show you some other pieces as I create this character. But right now, we're going to work on the tail. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a rectangular tool. I'm going to use that because you're able to shape it the way you want. As you can see right now, it's still stuck on the style from the magic paintbrush. So I got to change that. I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to hit this guy. I'm going to go back to a solid line. And this is the stroke size. I'm going to bring that to a 2. And stroke is this guy right here. I'm going to bring it to a 2 because that's pretty standard for what I do. I'm going to hit Control minus on PC, and I think it's Control Command on Apple, but I'll get back to you on that. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to use a rectangular box to use it. I'm going to change my stroke to black. And how I do that, I just hit here in the properties bucket tool. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to hit black, and you can see it changes it automatically. I'm going to use a fill color, but the fill color needs to be brown like this. So I'm going to use the eyedropper. I'm going to just click on this character, and you see it already turns brown. So that's good. So I have the brown. I have the black outline stroke. And I'm going to go back, and I'm going to click on the rectangle box, and I'm going to draw it. So I'm just going to go like this, and I made it pretty big because you could always shrink it with the transform tool, and you want to make it big so you know what you're working with. So here's my tail. I'm going to use here, and this is a selection tool. Selection tool on Animate is very cool because it's the one that will be able to shape it. So you see right here, a little smiley face is going to show up. The little smiley face tells you could shape it. If you go to the corners, a little box shows up, and that means you could also kind of shape it, but more like bring it in and everything. But I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to click here, and I'm actually going to left click on my mouse. I'm going to bring his tail in just a little bit like this, and then I'm also going to left click on this. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And another thing, when we look at his tail, we see how it's kind of shaped. I'm actually going to use something called the bone tool later on. I'll show you how to do that, where the tail's going to look very natural moving around. It's also a sample of straight ahead actions in the principle of animation. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, so I'm going to shape the tail. And you see a little happy face that shows up? I'm going to grab that. I'm going to left click. I'm going to hold down. And I am going to make it round and just do it like this. There you go. And then I'm maybe bring this tail in just a little bit more. And here we are. That's done. That looks pretty good. I'm actually going to bring the top of his tail all the way in. And it's always left click. And you got to go all the way in the corner. Bring it as close as you can, about right there. I'm going to do this side here. Right there, and voila, there's his tail. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to hit Control plus, and there it is, zooming in on my little tail. And actually this character is called Abba, and if you look at our cartoon, she is going to be one of the guest stars of our next cartoon. So please look at SquirrelNuts if you haven't already, and look at our cartoons, because not only do I show you how to make the characters, I actually do my own cartoon series. And yeah, it's fun. And this is the reason why I do this. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to pick this guy here. This is a brush library. But now I'm going to get that. I want that design. I want that kind of that cool free flowing look of this tail. If you zoom in a little bit, I'm going to plus a little bit more. I'm going to go right here on the side to bring them into the window, and there it is. So here's a little line here, she has a little line here, and I actually already created the body, but I could show you guys how to recreate the body later. And we're going to be recreating all my characters, because all my characters done kind of sloppy, because I was, to tell the truth, I was trying to do everything myself. And now that I have another really cool animator, his name is Clint, he's going to be helping me with different things. Maybe he'll do a couple of how-tos too. He's super talented. He has a great cartoon, and I'll put the link at the bottom of this one. But okay, so we're done with this. Now I'm going to use the paintbrush tool, the Y one, not this guy here, because the classic paintbrush tool is not going to come up. And if you look at it's kind of the one that's the stock classic paintbrush. That's a stock brush that comes up on your toolbar. This one, chances are, the fancy one will not come up. And I did a tutorial on it, but I'll just show you super quick. If you click on here, right in the bottom of your toolbox, all the other tools that you don't see is right here. So I'm not using any of these guys now, so I'm not going to even worry about that. Okay, I know about this here. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, that's what I did. I just kind of found it, and then I dragged it on my toolbar. So that's what you need to do. And to close this box, you just click bing, and it's done. Okay, so let's do the fancy stuff. So stroke, you see the style here. The style is line, so it's not going to work. If I went into, even with my fancy brush, it wouldn't really come up. So it doesn't really look at anything. So I'm going to go edit, undo paintbrush, and my stroke has to be her little fancy markings on her tail has to be this color. So how do I do that? Well, again, I go back to the eyedropper, and then I click right here. And you see how the color turned into the color of her tail, of this color? It looks, sometimes it doesn't really work. So you got to go plus and make sure that you're close enough to it to get that exact color you want. And it should be actually the color of her face. So instead of that, let's do this one. So I'm going to go here. You see the paint bucket automatically turned on. What the paint bucket does is it fills the color, but you don't want that yet. So you want to go to eyedropper again, click, and there's a color. That color looks pretty close to it. Then I'm going to go back to her tail. I'm going to get out of the paintbrush. I'm going to go to selection again. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hit Control minus so I could see my tail. And then we are going to decorate the tail. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and I'm going to use again my paintbrush tool, not this one, not the classic brush tool, the paintbrush tool. That's the one that has all these different cool little styles that you could do. And I'm going to go to artistic, and I like charcoal. I think it looks kind of cool, and it kind of looks like this one here. So I'm going to hit charcoal. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to double click. And what I'm going to have to do, oh shoot, so this changed. So I'm going to have to hit this again. When you hit the stroke box right here in your properties box, the tool, this is going to come up. But you can also just click, and also if you come out of it, you see that the eye drop showed up. I'm just going to go again, click, and there it is. So now you know you have the right color. And then it's at 5 right now, so it's not going to, it's a smaller stroke. Sorry. It's a smaller stroke, and I want a bigger stroke. So I'm going to make this a little larger. I'm probably going to go to 7. Okay, so now the magic begins. So I'll go like this. See how cool that looks? But it still looks kind of small. So what I can do is I could click on the selection tool, and then I could click on this on the stroke, and you see a little smiley face showing up. It means I got just a stroke, and I could actually add the size. I mean, I could make the size bigger. So I'm going to make it bigger, see? And it goes to 17. I like it kind of at 23, so that's cool. So now anytime I use the stroke, it's going to be at 23 for this for your tail. So I'm going to go back again. I'm going to go back to the paintbrush, and I'm going to do another stroke. That looks cool. It's looking good. Look how cool that looks. Look at that. That looks really, really awesome. Okay, so there we go, and it's kind of like this one. It's this one was done in Photoshop, so it's not within the same kind of style. That's okay. I think this looks really good. So I'm gonna click here. I might have done what I might have done in Photoshop, and I don't think you have it here. I would have kind of blurred it in and make it look really cool, but I think that's good for now. I'm gonna put a little one right here too. So there we go. So there's his tail. And it's kind of cool looking. And this is actually an African tail because African squirrel. And the African squirrel had this style because the character Abba is actually from Ghana. And I'm gonna look at that. Okay, so we are done with the tail. So the tail looks good. Again, like I said, in my other tutorials, I will show you how to put bones on it and make it able to to swirl around and do really neat things. But for now, I'm just showing you how to make the character. So you have done the tail. Now you want to save it. So you go up to selection tool. You left click again. You make sure you grab and just by dragging, you make sure that this box is going to appear. Make sure you drag all the tail. Okay, you have it all the tail, and you see this is telling me that there's a bunch of different layers on it. We grabbed everything and everything's highlighted, so that's a good thing. I'm going to go modify it, but later on I'll show you how to break apart. You can change a bunch of different things. So I'm going to go modify, convert to symbol, because I'm going to be using this tail multiple times. It's kind of like building a puppet. So we go here, tail, Abba, and I'm going to say 2 because I've drawn other tails. Okay, so now I have the tail. And I'm able to use it. I can use it many times. I can reshape it by going up to modify, breaking apart, but I'm not going to do that. Your tail's always going to be saved in your library. You can see, there's tons of stuff. I got to clean this up, and you should clean it up. But for now, I'll keep this up. I'll clean it later. So the tail Abba 2 is right there. So say if I took this out, didn't want to use it, brought it into another scene. Boom, there's a tail. Now, you could always change the sizes. Right now, it's a pretty just big size, but you could change the sizes by just going click and hitting the transform tool. Kind of like if you worked in Photoshop before, it's pretty free transform. It's pretty much like Photoshop. And then you could shrink it. You can make it bigger. You can make it fatter. You can do whatever you need to do. So that's a really cool thing, especially in animation, so you don't have to draw in each frame. Your new tail, you could just use the same one and just manipulate it to what you need. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Again, watch my cartoon. Please subscribe. And yeah, I'm going to actually be doing a tutorial. Well, this is a tutorial, but I write a step-by-step tutorial. So if you need that, let me know and I can send that right to you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Go Squirrel Nuts!